Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, we are going to be solving equations using the absolute value. So, how do we solve equations when it comes to absolute value? First, we're going to isolate the absolute value and any terms inside the absolute value. Then we're going to solve for both the positive and negative scenarios because remember that absolute value just means the distance from zero is equal to that specific number. And so the value inside the absolute values could be the positive or negative version. So let's start with question A, solving for x. So first we want to isolate the absolute value sign and any values in it. In this case, we just have x inside our absolute value, so we would like to isolate absolute value of x, and we'll of course be doing that by subtracting 8 from both sides. So then we're going to get that the absolute value of x is equal to 4. So in that case, what does x equal to? Or in other words, the what are the terms that are inside the absolute value going to be equal to? Well, that's going to be x equals to 4 and x equals to negative 4. And in this case, this was a more simple one, and so that's actually the full solution, that x could be 4 or x could be negative 4 in order for the absolute value of x to equal negative 4. Sometimes we will do this same technique, and we'll end up having to still do some more solving to find both the answers, but in this case, since it was just x in our absolute value and nothing else, this is it. We're done. Okay, for part B, it says x plus 8 is equal to 12, and the x plus 8 is in absolute value bars. So what does that mean? That means that the value inside the absolute value bars must either be 12 or negative 12. So that means that x plus 8 is equal to 12, or x plus 8 is equal to negative 12. So now we have to solve both of these expressions, and that will give us the final answer. So with x plus 8 is equal to 12, that means x is equal to 4. And if x plus 8 is equal to negative 12, if we subtract 8 from both sides, we get x equals to negative 20. So therefore, our final answers are x is 4 or x equals negative 20. And notice if we plug both of those in, if we plug in 4 for x, we get absolute value of 12 equals 12, which would be true. If we plug in 20, we get, negative 20, we get negative 20 plus 8 in absolute value bars equals 12. And let's see, negative 20 plus 8 is negative 12. So that would give us that the absolute value of negative 12 is equal to 12, which means that yes. Yeah, is that true? Yeah, absolutely. That the absolute value of negative 12 is 12. That is also accurate, right? So that's what we want, is we want to consider the positive and negative versions when doing this. All right, let's try C and D, which are very similar, but with C, notice that the plus 8 is not part of our absolute value. And for D, it is part of our absolute value. So that means we will get different answers for both. Or A and B were also quite similar, but notice how the 8 being in or out of the absolute value did make a difference to one of our answers. Both had x equals 4, but the other answer was different for both. And so I want to also demonstrate how these two are different as well. Okay, so first things first, we're going to isolate the absolute value bars and the terms in them. So I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides to get absolute value of 2x is equal to 4. And what does that mean? That means that 2x is equal to 4, or 2x is equal to negative 4, right? The value that's in our absolute values must be the negative or positive version here. So therefore, if we divide both sides by 2, we get x is 2 over here, and we get x equals negative 2 for the other one. So there we go. All right. Let's try this last one. This last one, we can actually skip the first step because we already have the absolute value bars in place. We can just write our equations and solve them. So if the absolute value of 2x plus 8 is equal to 12, that means either 2x plus 8 is equal to 12 itself, or that 2x plus 8 is equal to negative 12. So let's first solve the one on the left. If 2x plus 8 is equal to 12, that means 2x is equal to 4, which means x is equal to 2. So that's one answer. And then for the one on the other side, if I subtract 8 from both sides, I get 2x equals negative 20, which means x is equal to negative 10. So there we go. Those are our answers. All right, well, that's going to be it for this one. Good work, everyone, and we'll see you for the next one.